If I had to describe Kenya and the surrounding areas where I went, I'd have to say the landscape is beautiful, breathtaking, amazing. The people, their kindness, their hospitality, just their general warmth just blew me away. I would say there's a lot of positive things, but there's so many negatives and so much struggle, so much pain.
There's really, in my perspective, not any words that can really describe what I saw. The anguish that these mothers and grandmothers and families and the entire nation of Kenya is going through, I don't think it's something I'm really very good at explaining to people.
Mai Mahiu is a major trucking center. It sits on major crossroads. The road from Nairobi to Nakuru goes right through Mai Mahiu, and then another road goes to Narok. So it's three of the biggest cities in Kenya are connected, and Mai Mahiu is right at the center point.
You know, these highways go through, you know, hundreds of miles of just wilderness out there in Africa. And then these two highways come together, and what do you have? You have a small town where they have restaurants, they have stores, they have hotels, and it's just a stopping grounds. It's kind of the center of activity.
And therefore, the truck drivers, they come and park their trucks there, and in so doing, they get lodgings, otherwise they lodge there, and in so doing, they practice prostitution. And this prostitution mostly is done by the women from the rural areas, one being Karima.
This is one area of Africa that's been completely ravished by HIV/AIDS.
If you make less than $1 a day, you're considered beneath the poverty line. But the people that are making like a shade over $1 are considered middle class, but people can't survive off that.
Day-to-day issues are grindingly real to them. You know, give us this day our daily bread. It's not just something they recite. They mean it because they recognize that they don't have any other recourse. It's got to come from God.
I've been reading a lot about their lack of hope being the root cause of poverty, because they're just used to having nothing. And why work hard in school if you're just going to go back to nothing? If there's nothing to progress toward, then it shuts down your motivation to even try.
So poverty is one of the biggest problems to this AIDS, HIV issue.
Seeing AIDS as it is in Africa might change the way many American Christians think about the disease. It's not a judgment from God on the guilty. There are plenty of innocents here who are dying.
We were able to interview a few of the mothers, the ones infected with HIV. Their stories just broke my heart.
No riria arwarire no ndanjiraga ri ni gukua kuire ngigiciria ngirigwo niko arari murwaru niguo ndeciririe thie ngathimwo agirwo ndi murwaru ngigiciria atiriri nikio ucio arakuire ndingimenya ni mwaka uriku no ena miaka 4 mundu.
Just hearing their stories about how they were forced to try and make things happen.
Taru tikwenda gwakwa kugia mwana uyu no ndagire mwana ngicariria ciana ici ciakwa ici ingi nikio ndagire mwana ngicicariria na tikwenda ndendaga kugia mwana ungi ugakora ndina mathina maingi tondu ndakingatitwo mucii ndina gwa guikara mwana uyu okire ngicariria ciana ici tikwenda ni ndendaga kuciara mwana ungi ndi murwaru na ndikire wĩra.
She had no way to feed her child, and she was so desperate to feed her child that she went into Mai Mahiu and prostituted herself. And because of that, she got pregnant. And that child now has HIV. This infant has HIV. And she just feels so bad about it. She feels so guilty that she gave birth to a child who has HIV. And my heart still bleeds for her. And I know she's not alone in her story, and I know there's thousands more stories of women in the same situation.
Nĩ ũhoro wa nĩ makaga kuma rĩrĩa ndarwarire, tondũ nĩ ndigagwo atĩrĩrĩ, hĩndĩ ĩrĩa ngakua rĩ, ciana ciakwa ngacitiga ha, koguo nĩ hoyaga Ngai akahe handũ ndige ndakĩra ciana ici ciakwa. Nĩ tondũ gwitũ nĩ ndamenirwo kuma ndarwara na ngĩingatwo mũciĩ. Nĩ njendaga hakwa njakĩre ciana ici ciakwa nĩgetha ndakua rĩ, ngona gwa gũtiga ciana ici ciakwa.
I think that was the first time it really struck me. The gravity and the magnitude of the situation struck me. I just realized, oh my gosh, this is real. This is sad.
The statistics are one thing, you know, but to see these kids who have a few years left to live really shook me up, and I thought, wow, this is why we're here. I don't know why God's allowed AIDS to happen, but I do know He's using us and other people to address this.
The Bible in James talks about taking care of the widows and the orphans. That's very important to God's heart, to take care of the vulnerable populations. So Mountain View Children's Project exists to try to help alleviate the poverty in that area.
I think the solution has to be bringing hope. And I hope that's what we got to do when we went over there. The fact that people from halfway across the world came to say that they care about you and they love you, I think brought hope to those orphans.
Jumbo.
Now with the many orphans and widows as a result of HIV and AIDS, this is where the church is realizing that we are called now to address this situation in our culture.
We need to think in terms of principles. We need to think in terms of what the Lord said when he said, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. And, you know, if you had AIDS, would you want help?
I'll hold it for you. Yeah, I'll hold it.
There's a common phrase out here, is you can't change the world, but you can change the world for one person. And really that's kind of the way we have to approach it.
AIDS is there. AIDS is real. And you need to know that people are dying. People are dying and people are suffering. And we are called to bridge in the gap and to show God's love and God's compassion. And there is no better time than this. There is no better time than this. I can concur with Jesus' words when he said that the fields are ripe, but the workers are few.